Today I'll have a look at one of the true legends in hard rock music. Öyster Cult released 15 studio albums. I put only 14 in my ranking though, because Cult Classics from 1994 consists of re-recorded old songs only. Here we go. Apart from Dancing in the Ruins, I find little to praise here. Some songs like Make Rock Not War and Beat 'Em Up sound suspiciously close to the hairspray rock that was popular at the time. A not very successful attempt to become more commercial. With songs like Moon Crazy and the title track Mirrors, B.Ö.C would come back soon afterwards with heavier offerings. The Great Sun Jester, by the way, was their first cooperation with Michael Moorcock, which would be followed by several more. Almost 20 years after the last studio album, B.Ö.C surprised us with another one. Unfortunately, I'm missing a guiding line here. The 14 songs seem to be a random compilation of all the ideas they could come up with. Many of them are enjoyable, like the catchy Florida Man or the heavy The Alchemist, but others are less. A good fun album with songs like Take Me Away or Shadow of California. It just doesn't stand out from the rest so much. Despite opening with Godzilla, one of the band's biggest hits, Spectres is a mixed bag with a couple of not so memorable numbers. Celestial the Queen, for example, almost sends me to sleep. Also, the sales were less than for the previous Agents of Fortune album. Stairway to the Stars and Cities on Flame with Rock and Roll became band classics, but the debut album still contains some psychedelic weirdness too. In case you listen to the album for the first time now, 50 years later, you might find it not so accessible. She's as Beautiful as a Foot, for example, isn't for everyone. However, it was a promising start for the young band.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
This album from 2001 was very round. It had a good flow if you listened to the whole record. My favorite songs are Dance on Stilts, One Step Ahead of the Devil and Eye of the Hurricane. I did a long interview with Bogdama when it was released, and he told me they considered it to be a classic rock album, which was faster and easier to record at the studio than the previous Heaven Forbid. The band enjoyed making it, and I think the listener can get these positive vibes. After the somewhat obscure first album, the second album had more energy, speed and direction, with songs like The Red and the Black and Hot Rails to Hell. Tyranny and Mutation surely helped to grow the heavy metal fan base for the Cult. In 1998, B.Ö.C had already been around for more than a quarter of a century. With their experience, they produced a combination of heavy songs like See You in Black and Power Underneath Despair, with stunningly beautiful softer tunes like Harvest Moon and Live For Me, thus showing the best sides of the band. I suppose for no other album the fans' opinions differ so much. From concept album masterpiece to not even a real B.Ö.C album, you'll find anything. It's more theatrical, and not surprising that B.Ö.C were offered to do a movie soundtrack next. To me, Imaginos has something very catchy and addictive about it. It's a real pleasure to listen to it again and again. After the weak Mirrors LP, B.Ö.C wanted to make a heavier album. They hired producer Martin Birch, who had just finished recording Heaven and Hell with Black Sabbath. Both bands would soon meet on the legendary Black and Blue tour. Still, Cultosaurus is not a straight metal album. Monsters, for example, has this totally unexpected break into a saxophone jazz solo. Including the fake archaeological discovery sleeve, one of their most original albums and a great start into the 80s for Blue Öyster Cult. Agents of Fortune is the best A-side B.Ö.C ever composed. This ain't the Summer of Love, Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and of course the classic Don't Fear the Reaper.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Unfortunately, the B-side can't cope with it, including tunes like Debbie Denise towards the end, so the album in total can't be my number one. The third from the famous trilogy of White Albums is the best in my view. From Dominance and Submission to the Driving Harvester of Ice to the Epic Astronomy, a truly great record. Many fans would put an album from the 70s on number one, but I became a B.Ö.C fan in the 80s, in particular with the double live album Extraterrestrial Live. This and the previous studio release Fire of Unknown Origin remain my favorites. Burnin' for You, Veteran of the Psychic Wars or Joan Crawford. This album has plenty of great songs. So don't just sit there, go and play some Blue Öyster Cult. See you next time.